How's it going, guys? Noir Tapes back with another video. Today's the second video in the series, making samples until I get good. So today I already had a bit of an idea in mind. I was feeling a bit of a faster, jazzy sort of thing. I had a bit of a bass line in mind, so that's where I started. And I ended up making this jazz sample and then flipping it, and it sounded pretty mad. So let's get into it. So this was the sort of bass pattern I came up with. As per usual, I explained, I just start by laying the same note down and finding the rhythm I like. And then I start pitching things and adjusting velocities after that to make it sound a bit more realistic. So this was the bass part of the sample I came up with. And so next, I immediately reached for vinyl crackle just to give it that flavor. Then my next thought was actually to reach for some swinging, jazzy drums. I've never created my own. I'll probably give that a go at some point during this series because, you know, I'll get better at it. But I have a bunch of loops relating to jazz brushing and swing drums, and I think they really set the vibe in these jazzy sort of samples. So I added this jazz brush loop, and I just chopped it up and warped it so it fit on time. As soon as I added that, it really started setting that vibe for jazz, eh? And then the last thing I added to the sample was the piano. Of course, you need to give it a little bit of jazz, bit of dissonance, that sort of thing. So I just started by making some chords in the scale I was working in. Found a couple of chords that sounded good, and I just put them on every few bars. I also added a bit of a melody. It's descending. I'll just play it all now so you can hear it. It's important to remember, use your grooves in Ableton. They're very handy for getting that natural feel. And then, as I always do, I like to group everything together and add effects to it to make it sound like it's all coming from the same source. So I grouped them all in a sample tab here. I just added some tape emulation and stuff like that to make it sound vintage. And then I arranged the sample, just starting with the bass and the crackle, and then adding other parts as it goes. And then I printed the whole sample out here. And then, as you can see, I did some chopping. And I decided to flip it, as I always do. And so this is the part where it really gets good here. I used some of the chops from the sample, and I added a horn as well, and I created a bit of a hook area. And then I added my drums down here as well. So let's have a listen to the beat I made. Yeah, so that turned out crazy, you know. When it comes to resampling, I often like to take that sample and treat it like a normal sample, right? So I'll chop it up, I'll warp it to how I see fit, I'll re-pitch it as well, so that's why the pitch is different. I thought that sounded pretty cool. I added a filter on in some sections. I basically made a whole beat out of it, right? I added a filter on some sections. Anyways, nice and quick. Thank you for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.